The idea of a creature larger than a gorilla with an odor like a skunk might seem far-fetched.
From the beginning of his time on Earth, man has always been fascinated by monsters, real or imagined.
The outside world is very judgmental about these things, with many people not believing in them whatsoever.
Cloaked in secrecy, they show up without warning, state their business, then vanish as quickly as they appear.
They only land in isolated places. They have taken people, I believe. They do have technology.
But the idea is if enough people focus on something, like thousands and thousands of people focus their mind on something and the image, in a very strange way, they can kind of create a real world version of the fictional entity.
Fact, fantasy, and history have come together to tease the imagination.
That the truth will out, and that no one lie can live forever.
Welcome to SuperNRML. And welcome to SuperNRML. SuperNRML on another episode of SuperNRML Distractions, episode part 2. I'm Sean Forker. We have Vance Nesbitt here. Vance, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing well, Forker. How are you, Forker?
I'm doing well, but I don't know. It's been a week, hasn't it?
Yes, it has been a week, and of course, it's important for the two of us to do this distractions episode because I think the gravity of all of this takes a lot of us down. And you know what? There's a lot of silver linings still that I'm finding out that, yes, there's still a lot of silver linings, but let's distract you from all of this, and we'll just have a little bit of fun, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Absolutely. But folks, I think the most important thing to do is continue with the social distancing, and that's why we're doing shows like this that are more frequent. I mean, all our friends are doing a lot more shows, too. Shannon is doing more shows. I have to say, we have to take a break and say last Friday we were going to do one, but we decided to jump on a group chat with our friends instead, and my God, was that a good time.
Oh, it was a good time until most of us passed out from, toasting each other.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, it was a really good time. It was a very good time. And
Copious
you know what?
amounts.
We all needed that laugh.
Oh,
We
yeah.
truly did.
Copious amounts of laughs and copious amounts of spirits. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. and I wish that everybody could be on the same boat. Look, we're all in this boat together.
We are.
And you've heard that analogy how many times now, or metaphor? We're all in this together. Well, we're in the front of the boat yelling to everybody, 60 miles back on the back end of the boat, what we're doing up front here. And if we can spread that a little bit and wash your hands in the process of all of it, I think we're going to be okay.
Absolutely.
And I look at things very logically. I look at things very unfiltered. I just look at them for what they are. And I think we're all going to be okay. But you know what? There's a lot of angst and instability with so many of our listeners. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to give you a distraction, and let's just row that boat forward and get to the shores and climb out, and everything will be okay.
Row your boat gently down the stream.
Yeah.
Star Trek 5 right there. A Star Trek 5 reference.
Mm-hmm.
Watched that
Yay.
with my
How
wife the other
about
night.
that?
Mrs. Forkchop, she really likes the sci-fi. Married to me, you'd have to, enjoy the
Which
sci-fi.
is free, right? Yeah.
No, well, CBS All Access right now is free. You can watch. If you haven't done so, folks, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I'm not the costume-wearing Trekkie, but, I've been known to give out a good live long and prosper when appropriate. And you know the acceptable response to live long and prosper, Vance, don't you?
No.
It's peace and long life. And when you put that together, LLAP, live long and prosper, and peace and long life, PALL, see how that kind of rolls together?
Oh, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah,
well, not
that's
that you did it, but
No,
hey.
I didn't do it, absolutely. But a lot of people don't know that the appropriate response to live long and prosper is peace and long life. So we taught something new to our folks tonight.
Can you do the split finger
I can.
of live long and prosper? You can. Very.
Oh, yeah.
There's quite a few people that I notice that cannot do that. They
And
just
probably
don't have that
boring sex
coordination.
lives as well,
Ooh, maybe. Hey, you
when the
change it
shocker
up a
doesn't
little.
work, give her the spocker. and that's where we're going to end
How
that
about
discussion right now. Here we go.
Yeah, how about it?
Little adult entertainment here on Super NRML. Didn't think we were
All
going
right.
that far, but that's
All right,
why these
kids,
shows
plug
have been labeled explicit. I did make sure of that.
Yeah, well,
Just in
you
case.
know, I have noticed, Forker, over this past week now, for those of you that are listening that may not know, Forker and I are not literally sitting next to each other in studio, clearly calling in, but I'm in the Chicagoland area. And ever since the state of Illinois has proclaimed the stay-home order by the governor of Illinois, I have noticed one really important thing, because I'm on the road, and I've been on the road for 18 years for the company in which I am employed with, and I will get into that in a couple of minutes, but I have noticed there are no traffic stops. No police officers are pulling people over, and I don't blame them. I don't think they want to have that social contact. Now, unless you're doing 150 miles an hour down the road, I think a lot of this gets left alone. But the really respectful thing out of all of that is that I see that people are being very cooperative and being pretty close into what the speed limits are. And they are driving better now than they have before this entire thing happened.
It's funny you say
Even
that.
though there's a lot less traffic, but yes, go ahead.
On my way home last night, you know, from where I work to the house, it's the only traveling I do right now. I'm not going out to socialize. It goes from 65 to 55 pretty abruptly, which isn't that big of a deal, right?
Right.
Except for the fact when you get into the groove and you're singing along and you realize, well, maybe you're still going 74, because sometimes I like to press the button. And as I look over, clearly like 3/4 of the way through the 55 section, there's a state trooper right next to me.
Yeah.
And he speeds up faster than me and gets off the exit. So I'm like, okay, well, I could have really been nailed. But you know what? It would have been my fault. I just wasn't paying attention, and he could have pulled me over, and he didn't. But like
yes,
you said,
but you know what, Porker? What makes the difference? You're an essential employee, just like me. I'm essential.
Listen.
And boy, do I come home and rub that, Jergens lotion all over me because I am essential. And, hey, I'm important.
I have gone on record to my boss and everybody else where I say there's not a damn thing I do where I consider myself to be essential. All right. However, the business I work for and the state I live in has deemed my business to be a life-sustaining business, so therefore I'm able to stay. We've modified our business plan, of course, to make it work, and it's great because I'm there in the building with like 6 or 7 associates, which is much lower staffed than what we're used to operating on, and practicing social distancing, but still having a good time. And it's going to be an interesting few weeks, but we have to work together and get through this. I think we have to understand, Vance, at the end of this, there's a light at the tunnel, right? There is an end point to this, but the more we don't follow instruction, the longer the more prolonged we make that experience to get to the light. And we have a lot of listeners of varying different backgrounds, and you and I aren't getting political, and by any means. But what irritates me is these people that one thinks this is a hoax or think it's not important. And
right.
People in my age group, Vance, have a 40% chance of contracting the virus. 40%.
Oh.
Because they're stupid. Licking toilet seats and going to spring break. And you know what? There's going to be plenty of times to go to the beach and get screwed up. And like right now in the state we're in, this is not a time for games. And you might want to be selfish, but let's just say, and I had this conversation at work today, Vance, you can go hang out with your friends and your buddies, and that's fine, but you made the cognizant choice to come to work. And when you did that, you put yourself in the position to now put yourself in contact with everybody you've been in contact with. And I think I saw the statistics the other day. You're like one person removed from the virus if you haven't contracted it already. That's not a wide margin of error.
No. And I totally agree.
And that varies based upon where you're at in the country, by the way.
Right. No, this is true. I mean, it seems to be that, in Central, and I'm speaking just a little bit west of the Midwest itself in the country,
Hmm.
it seems to be that there's not a whole lot of cases there, but look at the landscape and why there wouldn't be so many cases there. And of course, it seems to
Absolutely,
be
yeah.
that, yes, New York is the epicenter, so let's give a little bit of attention there. But if you're in any kind of an urban area, even if you're in a remote area, it's okay to practice this because I
Hmm.
will tell you, Sean, from this day forward, this will be the new norm.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's okay because in case there is something more severe or there is a second wave of this, you know what? We are already 6 steps ahead of beating the thing just because we're practicing all these new practices. And so do be responsible. You don't need to go, over the top with the sanitation of everything. But hey, if people have learned to wash their hands out of this whole thing, I think that's okay. All right. I would appreciate people that would wash their hands because a little bit of hygiene is a good thing. It really is a good thing. And take care of yourself. And I think that this will be the new norm for a lot of things that will transpire from this day forward, much like what happened during the September 11th
Yeah.
attacks. It changed a lot of things, and it was for the better. And this is going to change a lot of things for the better.
We hope.
Now, are we going to continue a 6 foot, social distancing? It may lax a little bit, and that would be okay. But you don't know. But now you're more aware of what the potentials are. And for those that don't take it seriously are going to be the ones that suffer the retributions of all of this. And they'll be like, man, was I stupid? I should have followed the rules. I understand a lot of people are elder that are telling you these rules, but just look at it as if it was your grandparents talking to you saying, hey, learn from experience, just practice these rules and you'll be okay and everybody else will be okay. But there's a lot of silver linings that are coming out of all of this, Sean, and it's not all dark doom and gloom. And I want to share that with all our listeners too. And I feel privileged, and I'm not saying this to rub this into the faces of anybody, but I feel very privileged to work for the corporation in which I do because they are supporting myself and they are supporting all the employees financially, whatever may happen, even if they have to go home and don't have work, they're going to continue to pay. And that's a huge responsibility that they have taken on amongst themselves to do that. So I'm very privileged. For all our listeners that are not in that situation, things will be okay. I understand you're going to get, a small chunk of change. It's not going to make things so much better, but look,
It's
all
a
of us are
start.
going to work really hard to make everything better for everybody because we're all in this together. And so we'll all support each other. Whatever it takes, we will all support each other. So if you need something, feel free to post on the Supernormal page and say, this really sucks because I need this. And between Sean and myself, we can put it out there. And there's so many resources out there that maybe Sean and myself will find out about to take some of the stress off of you.
And if you
And we're not going to, yeah, go ahead.
and if you go to our website, SuperNRML.com, under causes, there's a lot of different venues we have for support. And we're
Absolutely.
posting more on there all the time. The American Red Cross, the National Suicide Prevention Line. Like, these are resources that folks really need to take into consideration, specifically now because we are socially distant. And but like we got together last week and had a great time. Technology is now our friend, and we have to bring that into the equation. How can we be together more, but not physically be together? And there's a way to do that, and that's what's great. And it's been a lifesaver for many people. But I wanted to run back quick before we went too far off because I started talking about Star Trek and I jumped off, right? And this week was the season finale of Picard, Vance. Star Trek Picard, the latest TV show from the Star Trek universe. And my God, was it a tearjerker.
Really?
I had
Well,
tears. And I'm not going to
Okay.
spoil it for anybody. Mrs.
Oh, very
Forker,
good.
Mrs. Forker had tears. Like my son, who has no emotional real connections to these people, had tears.
Aw.
And like it was really powerful. Like, what's that say where fictitious characters, resonate more with us than people of real historical or cultural significance, right? But what makes them any less significant because they're real? And it kind of takes you back to that point where you're a kid and you have an imaginary friend, and that imaginary friend's the most important thing to you, right? And one day it goes away, and you forget about that imaginary friend. But like with characters like these, we've had them now for over 30 years. I grew up with these characters, right? So they're almost... sometimes you know them better than you know distant relatives.
Well, they're your brain family.
Absolutely. Your brain family. Well, there you go. Your brain family.
Oh, sure.
But I have to tell you, man, was it emotionally resonating. So if you get a chance, CBS All Access, I believe, is free for a month. You can go and check out Star Trek Picard, which at first when it came out, I was like, oh, it was good, but it's going to be a slow burn. But midway through, bam, it picks up and takes you on a pretty decent ride. Star Trek Discovery, another newer program out by CBS All Access. I think that one's got a mixed review amongst many fans because you have to look at this now, Vance. Star Trek is different. It can't be the same. It's got to change. And I know people are like, oh, Star Trek and all this political shit. You idiot. Star Trek has always been political. Always been political and revolutionary and groundbreaking. But I think this is where it failed this time. And where they push a particular agenda, a very heavy LGBTQ agenda, right?
Right.
And that's not, I don't want to come across as big because I'm not. My best friend, homosexual, I love him dearly. He's like my brother Ray. And, that doesn't bother me. And it doesn't. But where it missed the mark, I think, with Star Trek fans is you have to realize in that future, it is normal. You don't have to call attention to it because in Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future, that's just normal.
Right. We've all gotten over the hump of the reality of it. Now we've moved on.
Absolutely.
Right.
But they didn't
that
do
makes
that.
perfect sense.
I think the writers, when they threw that back into, that first season of Discovery and even little through the second part of Discovery, like I think season 2 gets better because it doesn't focus so much on that agenda heavy, let me push it at the audience kind of mentality, and it really rides a story where season 1 didn't do that. But I'll let listeners make up their own mind and go and check it out. Fork Chalk recommends Discovery and Picard because I just can't get enough Star Trek. I don't think it's possible to get get too much. I don't.
Well, I had touched base with you the other night that I do have some catching up to do on it. But I find myself, so wrapped up on so many other things that I really haven't followed through on a whole lot. And for our listening audience, I will stand up before you and say, hi, my name is Vance. I have not seen The Walking Dead. I have not seen Game of Thrones. And what other one did I throw at you? That I have seen the entire Stranger Things thing, because... Breaking Bad, thank you. No, I haven't seen Breaking Bad either. So I may be out of the cultural loop, and you might all be throwing eggs and, that valuable toilet paper at me, but that's okay. Because I did catch up, and I have been following through with the Stranger Things, only because I make the social connection with that, because that was my childhood as a kid. And so, I made that identification with that entire series and things are going on. The thing that is very profound with me with Stranger Things is that it took place back in the 80s. So if you take a look in the year 2030, there's going to be stories that are written, whether television is the same now as it will be, in 2030, there's going to be stories written about 2020 and this entire COVID craziness. So take note of what's going on right now, because when those shows come out, 25, 30 years from now, you're going to look back going, I remember that, and that was really cool that happened at that time, and this was a story that developed out of that whole thing. So keep that in mind too, because this is a very profound time in our history where stories will be written about this in total era that we are going through right now, and keep it in mind and treasure it, even though it's kind of messed up and there are things you just don't want to remember about it because you're so stressed. There's going to be a lot of stories written about this era, and you will look back on this going, wow, that was really cool. Yeah, that was a profound time in my life, and I make a connection with it, and it will be a very popular story. So there you go. That's my take on all of this. It's another part of the silver lining of all of this.
Yeah. Breaking Bad was the other show that you told me.
Right. Yeah, I have not seen. I think I watched the first 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, and it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't have the time because I had so many other things consuming me at that time, and I still do. But as far as watching media on TV, I just don't really take a whole lot of time, and I'm not big into the political world. I do have my rants about what goes on politically, but I just don't wrap myself around it because I'm doing so many other side projects like SuperNRML and half a dozen other things that takes me away from that. But that's by choice. That's not me judging those of you that do watch these shows or binge watch these shows by any means, because I rely heavily on you to tell me what's going on. Now, I had a conversation this evening about Tiger King. I see all these memes going around about Tiger King. I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about until I put 2 and 2 together, that it's a new crime series on Netflix. Okay, maybe I'll sit down and watch it and find out what this is all about, because it seems rather amusing with all the memes that I've seen going around about it.
I watched the trailer. That's all I've watched of it. I haven't watched it either.
Well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know, but
I don't know.
It seemed rather interesting.
I want to, but like so many things I want to watch, I watch it after it's popular, and I don't know. It's hard, right? Like, because there's so much to keep up on. I sent you a whole shit ton of articles and links on a project we're doing on the Smurl haunting. And we have E.T. Horror Stories still coming up once we can lock Butch down, because Butch has been a little, I think we have to be transparent with the listeners, right? Butch had a heart attack, a significant heart attack last year, and had a quintuple bypass. It was significant, and we haven't really wanted to overburden him and overtax him. So we're going to get on and get him at a time that works best for him. Maybe not even necessarily for us, but a time that works best for him. Because I think it's a very important show to do. We did do a lot of the pre-production work on it. I sent you that stuff this weekend, which is pretty cool. Like, I don't know about you listeners. You have to let us know at SuperNRML on Twitter or SuperNormalCast on Facebook if you guys like those pre-roll pre-show kind of narrations that we do, because I have a lot of fun doing it. I don't know about you, Vance, but for me, it's a ton of fun.
Oh, it is. No, I love doing it. This is what we're built to do. So, right.
That is pure us writing them. It's not someone writes them for us. We do it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And you know me.
This last one you did was really well done.
Yeah. And I did it with 2 different music beds. Like, I had a direction I wanted to go with it, and I said, no, it's just not setting well with me. Because normally, here's my process, folks. I have to have music in place before I can write to it. Like, the music speaks to me. I don't let the words dictate the music. I find a music bed I like. I get permission from the musician, the composer, to play it, and then I write to it. That's just part of my creative perspective, because I think it brings the emotion and the nuance out, and I can really work off it a lot better. Because when you listen to version 1 and version 2, Vance, there's a big difference between them.
Right.
Tonally, there's a big difference, and I like the way we went with version 2. And you'll never hear version 1, so forget it. And
all right.
So it seems not fair to talk to these guys about it, right? But it's true. You're not going to hear version 1, and version 2 is...
No, but you know what? Version 2 is just a very fine crafted wine. It came out really well. And hey, look, when you're looking for that production value, you were spot on with that.
We're trying, right?
Look,
we're using new software here. I'm trying to learn Adobe Audition. Adobe Audition. I did have a little bit of drink before we did the show tonight, which doesn't help. But Adobe Audition, I've been using that, and that's not easy. It's a complicated piece of software to use.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
I'm not familiar with it, but
use Audacity if you can, because it's so much simpler to use.
No. I use crayons still, so
okay,
that's my preference right there.
Hey, it works.
I try to stay color within the lines. It's a challenge, trust me. It is a challenge.
And I guess I apologize because we're not churning these out as fast as we want to, but quality over quantity, right? And that's been our motto. We could do a show every week, and sometimes you do that, and you're going to have some stinkers. We don't want stinkers. We want good shows.
Nope.
And I would rather cut off my face and set myself on fire than give you guys a bad show.
Cut off your face to spite your nose, right?
That's right. I just like the fire more. I thought it was a little bit more elaborate,
Right.
I'm really committed that way, You just go for the gusto. But you got to leave the face intact.
Okay, I get you.
I've been watching this documentary on Amazon called, I think it's on Hulu too. It's called Gag the Clown.
Oh, really?
And it's really screwing with my freaking mind, man. I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, I don't have a clown fear. I don't, but I don't like it. Remember when this phantom clown phenomena happened a few years back?
Yes.
Lon and I talked about it all the time back on Arcane Radio. And it was all the rage. And, I had warned people that, one of you MFers are going to get killed doing this. And that it wasn't a cool thing to do. And this Gags the Clown is just, kind of takes that phantom clown phenomena and really rolls with it. And I don't know. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Right.
Yet. It's on in the background. I was watching part of it. And then Mrs. Forker woke me up and she says, "Hey, Sean." She never calls me Sean. I'm not telling you what she calls me because then I'll start getting her a text message. But, hey, you got a show coming on here in a little bit. I'm like, oh, yeah, after I wake up from my apple cider and vodka-induced coma. And it was a long day. My social graces went out the door at 10:03, and we opened at 10 o'clock. So that kind of tells you how quickly my day was impacted by assholes and idiots among us. It did not take long. Folks, do me a favor. Before you venture out, read instructions. Make the people that are serving you, make their lives easier by you knowing a little bit about what you're doing and what the rules and context are, so we can all play safe. Sorry.
Yes.
Back on that again.
That's very important.
People are idiots,
very important.
All right. Your inability to comprehend is not my problem, and I think I have to state that many times. That was my.
But that's not our listeners, though.
No.
Our listeners are highly intelligent. It's all those that don't listen that, yes, they fall into that category completely.
Hey, On the Trail of UFOs has been out now for a week, and I was memed. I sent that to you this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Our buddy Travis, the cartoonist, you can find him on Facebook. He's a hell of an artist. Orbs memed me because if you watch episode 3, I'm in episode 3 of On the Trail of UFOs. It's probably the best episode.
Yes, you are. It is. It's the highest quality and the finest interview of all of them.
I'm telling you what. That fat kid knows a little bit. No, I'm kidding. It's a good. Actually, my favorite episode is the last one with Butch, and I say that because I was there for the whole interview, and there was so much that Seth didn't use that will be used in another project, I believe. Because Butch, guys, I say he has a BA and BS. The guy can talk, but he knows what the hell he's talking about, and it makes for such an enjoyable listening experience, Vance. So enjoyable.
Right. When we were working together with Butch and Lon Strickler over at The Existence of Strange Things, the man is full of knowledge, but he's had so many years to gather all this information, and of course he's picking up, a lot where a lot of other researchers have left off at. And he is just a wealth and a vault of information. And he dishes it out in such a way in layman's terms that everybody can understand and are completely enthralled with. And that's why I like Butch so much, because he shares his stories just from the layman's point of view. And it's very easy to listen to, but yet it is so informative in such a short period of time. And I don't know if Butch actually designs it that way, or if this is just part of his ability to do it when he communicates with people, but he shares so much information in such a short paragraph. And I find that really gratifying when I'm absorbing something from a story, because sometimes when people share a story, they get really long-winded and you start to get sleepy and dopey, and you kind of fall off track yourself. Butch doesn't do that. And this is why I'm looking so forward to doing this episode with him upcoming, because I think everybody will be completely fascinated with it. And just to rewind a little, go back to the clown thing. I remember reading a headline about the clown, and it says a clown or a person dressed as a clown did this certain activity. I'm like, wait a minute, you just made the clown its own entity by putting the headline up that way. I'm like, it's a clown or a person dressed as a clown. Wow, that scared the crap out of me. I'm like, no. Look, first off, clowns are just people that dressed up as a clown. There are no, unless they're coming from another universe and coming here. I don't know, but it scared me when I read that.
Clowns from outer space.
Exactly.
It's my little sister's favorite movie, by the way. My sister Mandy, who's listening. Hi, Sissy, I love you. Mandy, yeah. Killer Clowns from Outer Space was her. Ever since we weren't well parented, let's put it that way. Our parents, when it came to entertainment, pretty much let us watch whatever in the hell we wanted to watch. So my baby sister's favorite movie became Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it stuck with her whole life. It's still one of her favorites.
Well, there you go. And what about the tomatoes? Same thing.
The killer tomatoes. That's such a good movie. Return to the Killer
Forker,
tomatoes.
I actually watched, Mars Attacks the other day, and I had so much fun rewatching that. And then I hear a rumor that they're going to revamp and recreate that movie. Will you people in Hollywood please stop taking these classic movies and remaking them? They were perfect the first time around.
You know why they
Why
do
are you trying
it?
to make them better? No,
Because
because there's no talent.
Because they own the licensing to it already. So they don't have to go back and buy the
But
rights.
come on, they need to
with you.
stop.
Look,
It was fine the first time around. Don't try to make it better, because it won't be. And you're wasting your time and a lot of money that could go towards people that are in a different situation right now. Just leave it be, because I think it was just classic as it was. And where are you going to find the actor talent that you had in, when Mars Attacks? You're not.
No.
So stop. Put it away. Just leave it as a classic as it is.
To touch base on that quick, though, how many times are they going to do A Star is Born? Like, haven't they? And that's not sci-fi or horror. That's just...
I don't know, because I haven't even seen the one with, Lady Gaga. I haven't, because, I saw the original with Barbara Streisand. Well, that was enough for me. I don't need to go back, and I wasn't really that thrilled by it anyway. Now, there you go.
None.
No, that's not my genre, and that's not my thing to go after. I'm not saying it's bad. Not at all. Maybe it's a wonderful film. It's just not my thing, and that's okay.
There was a movie I loved back in the day, Legends of the Fall. Did you ever see that?
Yes, I have.
I loved that movie, but as an adult, I don't like it nearly as much as I liked it in my mid-teens or my late teens. I didn't. It's a good movie, but I'm not going to go out and exalt it. Last of the Mohicans was the same way. I loved Last of the Mohicans, and now it's like, it was good. It's a little long in the tooth, but like your taste changes as you get older. Don't get me wrong, but there's still nothing I love more than watching people die in cinema. I love horror. I do. I love horror movies, slasher movies particularly. I'm a huge fan of the Halloween series. good or bad. I love the mythos and that. Can we quit calling everything a freaking universe, please? Like, it's the Marvel universe, the Star Wars universe, the Star Trek universe. No, it's a freaking movie series. Take those universes and shove them up your ass. I want to enjoy a movie.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
it sets me off. They just did it. I saw a commercial on CBS for the Star Trek universe. It's Star Trek. Like,
period.
That's
Just
right.
leave it at that.
First of all, it happens in space, which is the universe. Can we not just...
That's a good point.
Yeah, like the Sean Forker that sits here and talks to you is the same Sean Forker that goes to work tomorrow morning. Like, I don't live in an alternate universe. Maybe there is different versions of me. I wouldn't want to know those other versions of me because I like the version of me I am now. And, like, just leave it alone. Let's quit bastardizing entertainment and make it enjoyable and quit it. Stop.
You know what, Forker? You have me a little bit confused because... you do the supernormal. Aren't you super wealthy from the supernormal? Why do you keep saying you have to go to work? I thought you were just like this rich millionaire that does the supernormal show and that's it.
Vance,
you don't
I've
have
been
to work.
Podcasting for 15 years and I still have the same day job. So let's be clear.
That says a lot.
Ain't a lot of money being made on our end here, and we don't do it for the money. We do it for we don't. We do it for the entertainment. We spend a lot of money making this show. This show costs us about $100 and some a month to do. When you do it right,
sure.
Like, it ain't cheap, but we do it because we like our audience. We really do. We like our audience. You guys are pretty cool. And you listen to us rant sometimes. Like, this show's called Distraction because we needed a distraction. I think as much as the audience needs it, we needed it too. Because you have to realize, guys, we're Vance and I again doing 2 shows. Vance sometimes does more than this, and. I'm working on my book. I'm going to school. Like, there's an awful lot going on. I'm a father. I'm a dad. I work. I'm a grandson still. I still take care of my grandparents because they're pretty freaking awesome, and I love them. And Vance, I talk about them all the time. And there's a lot on my plate. So we do this as a relief from us. This is a distraction in itself because
but it's good for us to be able to share with our friends and audience, because, hey, if you guys have any concerns or input or humor or whatever it is, feel free to share it with us because we would like to share it with everybody. And if you don't want it to be shared, we're good with that too. Just feel free to share it anytime. If you want to talk about a specific or have us talk about a specific subject matter, feel free. Let us know. Let Sean know. Let myself know. Let the supernormal know.
Yeah, just be constructive.
And we'll be more than happy to talk about it. Absolutely.
Be constructive. Don't be an ass. I just don't like them. Well, we don't like some of you either, but we're still glad you listen. Like,
that's true. No, we're very embracing, and you know what? Through the times in which we are going through right now, why not? This is the best that we can offer. Might not be a whole lot, but it's the best that we can offer. And you know what? It's a distraction. You don't need to be wrapped up in the whole game that's being played out right now. And I say game, I don't mean it in a loose term fashion that way. I just say, look, there's a lot going on in the world around us. We all need to step back. And, Forker, you brought up a really good point. Get on Messenger, do a video chat with all your friends, get as many of your friends on there and have a video chat. You're going to find out you're going to have a lot of fun.
It felt good last
and
night
it's a great way to at least social interact and still keep your social distancing. And you can still have just as much fun as if you went out to the bar. Hopefully that doesn't take away from the bars, but yes. What's
hated that term, social distancing. I did. I'm like, stupid freaking... stupid. Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. Kind of.
Well, it's hard to talk to somebody from 6 feet away, isn't it?
No, I talked to begin with. You know what though? Social distancing was made for James Baker.
Yes, this is true.
Listen, I was at a funeral with James Baker. Okay, and there were people coming up to hug him, and he's like, not a toucher. He's not much for contact to begin with, so he's thriving in this environment.
No, but that's okay. Hey, the first time I met Baker, I went to, shake his hand and give him a hug. He's like, nope.
Nope,
I'm
not a
like,
toucher.
no, I totally respect that. I totally respect that. And you know what? Baker was ahead of the curve of this whole thing to begin with. So I think he's clairvoyant. I think he knows something that we don't know.
What if he was patient zero? I mean, he was on assignment for quite a bit.
Ooh, this is true.
This could be.
Was he in China at any point?
No, they won't.
I don't know.
In China again.
No, probably not.
The government requested that I never allow him to go back to China.
Back into China again.
He offended
You keep
them
Baker to yourself. We don't want Baker here no more.
He offended them so bad they won't even put him in their prisons. That's how bad.
Oh wow, man!
They just won't.
Wow.
Yeah, his ass is a chemical biological weapon combo. It's just banned even in China. It's terrible.
Well, I enjoyed the fact that you do share, photos of the situation which you are going through with your employer right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seemed like Baker was just bored to tears in a photograph that you had sent to me, and I was like, the poor guy.
Well,
but he said he wasn't sleeping. He's still focused on the job.
Oh yeah.
Just maybe completely wrapped into it, but I get it.
You are, used to being around hundreds of people a day, and that gets bottlenecked and throttled, and you're talking to maybe 15 people on the telephone during a given day, and maybe seeing maybe that many on the outside. You know what I mean? Like it weighs you down. Like I thrive around people. I'm a social person. And not, hanging out with people. Like, you know me, I'm a hugger. Like, I'm a handshaker. I'm a baby kisser. Like, I love to do all that stuff. That's me. And
sure.
It's even put me in a funk that I've not been able to do that.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it, because that's end of days. That all that's gone for her.
No,
I'm sorry, but you're going to age years now that you won't be able to hug people anymore.
Nope, I will hug you till the end of time. I love.
Well, I hope so, because I enjoy my Forker hugs. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it, and I'm very social active as well, as far as what I do on a daily basis. And I have come in contact with so many people that are just so stressed out and so beyond themselves as to what's going on right now. And all I can do is just try to calm them down and speak softly and say, hey, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. And as long as they hear that from somebody, they do tend to calm down a little bit.
All right.
And it's like, yeah, you're right. I know things will be okay.
Let me read
Everything will be okay.
All right.
Yes, go for it.
When a killer lazy boy chair falls in love with a girl, it's up to a disgraced Jewish rabbi and a couple of broken-hearted detectives to figure out how to stop the bloody carnage that will follow. Killer Sofa. Like, that's the name of a movie. I just, as you're
Killer
talking,
Sofa.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to watch after we're done, and Killer Sofa. What the hell?
Oh, I don't know. I guess you have to go over. With all the mattress stores that are around everywhere, which I'm sure most of them probably closed right now because of this whole thing. But what was the stores that were selling couches and sofas? What was that? Sofa King?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Come to Sofa King sale. I'm like, we've got the best Sofa King sale going on right now. It's just like, this is great. I think that was a Saturday Night Live bid, but yeah, Sofa King. Go to the best Sofa King sale ever.
Some may say that's Sofa King ridiculous. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
We do have some good shows coming up, though. Like I said, we were talking about working on the Smurl case. I know I sent you a lot of material, and even I have to refresh on it because
I am so excited about doing this episode. Oh, believe me, I'm jumping out of my boots to get onto the Smurl.
We're going deep in this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be surely something a little different. And then we've got vampires coming up, Vance. What'd you say?
Mm-hmm.
Don't
call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, that's
Leslie Nielsen right there. Don't call me Shirley. I love Leslie Nielsen. We got Butch. We got vampires coming up. Shadow people.
Yes. Wow. And I had a long conversation today about shadow people, that I've had personal experiences of seeing shadow people. So that'll be interesting within itself.
Well, I'll share my experience with it too, because it was brief but frightening in my own home. So I'll share that experience with you when we do that show. Like, there's a lot of great things to talk about coming up, but we mainly wanted to put this show out here so you guys could just get to relax with us a little bit and enjoy, and hopefully you find this as exciting as all the other shows out there. By the way, On the Trail of UFOs, available on Amazon Video. You can get it at smalltownmonsters.com. You can order the Blu-ray or DVD, your choice. And what was the other service? Vimeo? Is that the other one, or Video?
Yes. Yeah. Vimeo.
Vimeo. Yeah, you can go and check it out on Vimeo. Amazon's probably the easiest way to get it without going to Small Town Monsters. But again, it's a great documentary. I'm a little biased because I'm in it, but it's really good. Also, Bill Lancaster sent me a copy of Native Bigfoot to check out. I posted my non-spoiler filled review in the SuperNRML Facebook page. Go check it out. I think you folks will enjoy Native Bigfoot as much as you will enjoy On the Trail of UFOs.
What do you think Bigfoot is doing right now during this whole COVID thing? Just laughing at us all? Just going, look at them stupid humans over there. Look what they're going through.
I've said to others, and some people agree with me and some people don't agree with me. I said Bigfoot reports have kind of slowed a little bit. And, Ron will tell me they haven't. Altman will tell me that they haven't. But no, I disagree with them. I think that the reports have slowed. And I think I'm having a hard time with a lot of recent Bigfoot sightings coming in anymore because it's the same shit, different day, nondescript, and it's just not media enough. There's not enough there to make me want to go investigate it. That may sound irresponsible, but it's going to take something real exciting to get my fat ass out there and probe around and get on it. Aside from our research areas that we go to, it's got to be something special to get me to follow up on it. These everyday run-of-the-mill Bigfoot sightings. That's not me. We'll put maybe some junior investigators on those newer cases of those ones that aren't as exciting. Some of the people that we're, bringing up through the ranks, but it's just not me. I have so much going on, I can't chase down every Bigfoot that ran across the road. Because there's nothing to it for me. Oh great, you saw something run across the road. It could have been your Aunt Betty in a house coat who hasn't shaved her legs because of COVID-19. There's nothing...
Oh, my poor Aunt Betty. How dare you attack her that way? She's a sweet old lady, even though she stands 8 feet tall. But, that's my poor Aunt Betty. Well, Come on, man.
She's a big girl, Scandinavian,
Yeah, she is.
Got that European look about her, but sweet lady, but God, is she hairy. Oh.
With curlers in her hair. Yeah,
you
I know.
introduced me to Aunt Betty, and I thought it was Uncle Bob. So she'll never forgive me for that.
And I'm sure when a lot of this dust from what we're going through right now starts to settle and everybody's tired of it and wants to get back to the thing, I'm sure a lot of this will start to resurface itself again. And then we're left with the challenge of sorting through a whole pile of new reports of, is this real? Could be. Is this real? No, it's not. This is just totally BS, and let's move past all of this.
And I guess that's what I was trying to, say there a few moments ago. It's not that I don't, I think I'm better than that. It's just the fact that it just doesn't excite me. I want a really good report, like the running across the road or a fleeting. There's nothing grabbing me to it.
No,
right? And I can tell you all the cases.
I want to see a report of Sasquatch just hoarding a whole bunch of toilet paper and running off into the wood line with it. And, whoever's living in the cabin in that location chasing after them and has video evidence. Well, I'll go after that. Sure. Let's take a look at Squatch stealing all the toilet paper, because apparently that's the thing to do right now is just, grab as much toilet paper as you can. I don't know. Does he have that kind of hygiene? And I say he no. Or she have that kind. I don't think so.
Not by its smell.
I didn't think so. didn't think so. Hopefully, maybe it's scented toilet paper. That would be a good thing.
Lavender.
Do they sell scented I don't know if they even sell scented toilet paper. It's ridiculous.
I like the
just don't flush. Just don't flush, your paper towels and other things down the toilet, people. That's a bad idea because you're just going to mess the system up for your public works department. And no, that's a whole nightmare in itself. That'll create its own stories, and we'll have a super normal on that.
Absolutely.
Just on how the public works department has been having to clean out the entire sewer system because people just don't think and are flushing or paper products down their toilet that don't break down in water. Yeah. And it clogs up a lot of things, and it's bad. But we're not going to get into that whole subject right now.
Get into it for the most
part. Yeah, I know. So I did. I'm so sorry.
To end this shitty conversation, let's... folks, Vance, where can folks find you, brother?
Well, you know what? They can find me pacing the floors over at Studio 401 right now, or... if you want, you can go over to Facebook and go to Vance A. Nesbitt, and that's where you'll find me on Facebook. Whatever I'm posting over there is usually things that may be of current subject matters or just simple thoughts that might flop through my mind. Who knows? Or you can go over to Instagram, Vance_Nesbitt_NRML for Supernormal. So that's where you can find me at.
There he is. Folks,
how about you?
Well, they can find me at Sean Forker on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm my name. I'm easy to get a hold of, so send your hate mail there. You can find our show at SuperNRML.com, supernormal.com. Go to Facebook, SuperNormalCast, SuperNORMALcast, because someone else took SuperNRML and they suck.
Oh, those bastards.
At SuperNRML on Twitter. And that's where you can find us, folks. Maz and James aren't with us tonight. They'll be back with us in future episodes. We got E.T. Horror Stories coming up. We've got The Haunted Revisited. Good shows coming your way. Stay tuned for more Super NRML, and thank you for letting us distract you tonight. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody. Bye, guys.
Thank you for coming along to this week's event. Remember, if by chance you get an odd feeling and something doesn't seem right, don't be alarmed by it. It's just the supernormal.